Imagine standing at the edge of an ocean, the waves crashing against the shore, sometimes gentle, sometimes furious. Each wave is like an emotion, rising, cresting, dissolving, only to rise again. As human beings, we often find ourselves caught in these tides, feeling swept away by currents we didn't choose, struggling to stay afloat in the tempest of our feelings. Emotions are the unseen architects of our lives, shaping decisions and coloring memories. Yet, in a world that often encourages us to numb them with distraction or suppress them with rationality, to stay positive as if sadness were a flaw, or calm down as if anger were a sin, we risk silencing vital messengers. Emotions are not errors in the system. They are signals from the depths of our being, carrying news about who we are and what we need. To ignore them is to drift into a half-lived existence. But what if, instead of being overwhelmed, we could learn to navigate these inner waters with intention? To speak of taking control of emotions is not to suggest domination, like taming a wild beast. It resembles the relationship between a skilled sailor and the sea. The sailor does not command the ocean, but learns its rhythms, reads its moods, and adjusts their sails accordingly. In the same way, emotional mastery is not the eradication of feeling, but the cultivation of a profound dialogue with the surges of the heart, a journey into deep, reverent awareness. Why does this matter? Because learning to understand and guide our emotions allows us to reclaim our agency. It transforms inner chaos into clarity and turbulence into greater tranquility. It illuminates our path toward growth, stronger connections, and a life imbued with deeper meaning. This path begins with a paradox. To gain skillful navigation, we must first surrender resistance. We must allow ourselves to feel full, without judgment, before we can guide those feelings with wisdom. Therefore, this exploration is an invitation to become both a traveler and cartographer of your inner world. We will delve into the core themes of emotional understanding, drawing upon insightful perspectives and timeless wisdom. Crucially, we will also ground these insights in practical application, offering tangible tools and strategies you can integrate into daily life. Together, let us learn to walk this intricate landscape with curiosity, map its contours, and navigate its currents toward clarity, peace, and genuine empowerment. To navigate the inner ocean described earlier, we must first understand its architecture. Emotions are not random eruptions, but form a vast, interconnected inner ecosystem, governed by discoverable laws and rhythms. Recognizing this architecture is the first step towards skillful navigation, moving beyond the illusion of forceful control towards the reality of conscious influence. Influence, not suppression. Adjusting the sails as the sailor learns to work with the wind and waves, true emotional mastery lies in understanding and influencing our feelings, not silencing them. Trying to suppress emotions is like trying to dam a river. The pressure inevitably builds. Instead, we learn to steer, recognizing that every emotion, even challenging ones like anger or fear, carries a message or purpose. Anger might signal a boundary crossed. Fear might highlight something we care deeply about protecting. Our goal is not to stop the currents, but to adjust our sails, using the energy of emotion wisely to move towards our chosen destination. Understanding the layers. Body, mind, and meaning emotions manifest across multiple dimensions. The physiological foundation. Emotions are deeply embodied. A racing heart with anxiety, tense muscles with anger, warmth spreading with affection. These are not just side effects. They are part of the emotional experience. Mastery involves cultivating a conscious relationship with these bodily signals, learning their language rather than being blindly driven by ancient fight-or-flight reflexes often mismatched to modern stresses. The psychological lens, perception's mirror. Emotions act as bridges between thought and action, but they are profoundly shaped by our internal landscape, our beliefs, memories, and unconscious narratives. As the Stoics noted, we are often disturbed not by events themselves, but by the stories we tell ourselves about them. Fear whispers, "What if I fail?" Past hurts can amplify present slights. Mastery requires developing discernment, recognizing how our perception acts as both a mirror reflecting our inner state and a lens coloring our view of reality. We must examine the hidden scripts that summon our feelings. The spiritual connection, deeper meaning. Beyond immediate reactions, emotions connect us to a deeper sense of meaning, value, and what it means to be human. Feelings like awe, profound grief, or deep compassion can feel like the language of the soul, pointing towards truths that logic alone cannot grasp. Mastery involves listening to these deeper currents, honoring their wisdom, and seeking the potential gift or lesson embedded in painful experiences. The dynamics of emotion, fluidity and rhythm. Our inner ecosystem is not static. Emotional alchemy, fluidity and transformation. Emotions are not fixed states, but fluid energies capable of transformation. Just as ancient alchemists sought to turn lead into gold, we can learn to transmute raw emotional energy. Grief, allowed space, can deepen into empathy. Frustration can be channeled into focused determination. No emotion is inherently permanent. Each holds the potential for change when met with awareness. Emotional tides, natural rhythms. Like the ocean's tides or nature's seasons, our emotional lives have natural rhythms, periods of expansion and contraction, joy and sorrow, energy and rest. Resisting this ebb and flow, or demanding constant positivity, works against our nature. Attunement is key. Learning to recognize and honor these cycles, knowing when to push forward and when to allow for rest and integration, like a tree adapting to the changing seasons. 4. The practice of mastery, acceptance, choice, and integration. Understanding the architecture and dynamics sets the stage for skillful practice. The paradox of surrender, acceptance. To truly influence our emotions, we must often first surrender our resistance to them. Trying to fight or strangle difficult feelings often intensifies their grip, like struggling in quicksand. Acceptance, simply allowing an emotion to be present without judgment, creates space, often allowing the feeling to shift or dissipate naturally. This is not passive resignation, but an active, courageous presence. The power of choice, the witness and the space. Between an emotional trigger, stimulus, and our reaction, there exists a crucial space. Cultivating the silent observer, or witness within, that part of us that can notice feelings without being consumed by them, I feel angry versus I am angry, allows us to consciously inhabit this space. Here lies our freedom, as Viktor Frankl highlighted. In this pause, we can choose our response, moving from unconscious reaction to intentional action. Integration, holding complexity. Life rarely presents just one feeling at a time. Mastery involves developing the capacity to hold multiple, often contradictory emotions simultaneously. Joy laced with sadness, hope mixed with fear, without fragmenting. It's about finding our center in the eye of the storm, embracing the full, complex tapestry of human experience with both surrender and sovereignty. Ultimately, mastering emotions is not about achieving a final static state of control, but about engaging in an ongoing journey of awareness, understanding, and skillful, compassionate engagement with our rich inner world. This journey, while challenging, unlocks deeper clarity, resilience, and a more meaningful connection to ourselves and life. To master emotion, one must journey beyond the rational mind, into the world of myth, metaphor, and symbol. These are the ancient languages of the soul, the hidden currents beneath our conscious minds. They hold the distilled wisdom of generations, offering keys to the unseen forces shaping our inner lives. Emotional mastery begins not with suppression, but with story, with understanding the symbolic language of what we feel. Consider Icarus, the boy who flew too close to the sun. His waxen wings, crafted by his father Daedalus, melted in the heat of his ambition. He fell, not because he dared to dream, but because he soared without balance. Icarus is not just a tale of arrogance. He is the embodiment of ungrounded passion. Joy, desire, even inspiration, when untempered by wisdom, can lift us so high we lose touch with the ground. To master emotion is to learn to glide, not too close to the sun, not bound to the earth, but in harmony with both. Then there is Persephone, the maiden who became queen of the underworld. Abducted by Hades, her descent brought winter to the world, but she did not stay lost in the dark. Each year, she returns to the surface, bringing spring in her wake. Persephone reminds us that emotion moves in cycles, light and shadow, sorrow and joy. We all descend into grief, heartbreak, fear, but we returned and changed. Emotional mastery isn't about avoiding the underworld. It's about learning to walk through it with awareness. Then there is the phoenix, the bird that dies in flames and rises from ash. Emotion often feels like burning, loss, betrayal, endings. But the phoenix teaches us there is power in surrendering to the fire. Transformation isn't always graceful. Sometimes it scorches. But from that charred ground rises a version of ourselves that's wiser, freer, and more alive. In ancient alchemy, the goal was to turn lead into gold. But the true work was always spiritual. The alchemist labored not just with metals, but with the soul's raw material. And what is more raw than emotion? Anger becomes a healthy assertion. Fear becomes clarity. Sadness becomes empathy. Emotion is the prima materia, the beginning of our transformation. Through awareness and patience, we refine the chaos into consciousness. The hero's journey echoes through every myth. From Odysseus to Frodo, each faces darkness, trials, and transformation. This is our emotional path. Each time we face fear or insecurity, we're walking into our own mythic trial. And like every hero, we don't go alone. Support may come from mentors, friends, or our own higher selves. Through these trials, we remember courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward anyway. These aren't just stories, they're psychological maps. They reveal that our emotions follow ancient patterns, not random chaos. Recognizing the pattern helps us move from confusion to clarity. Each myth whispers the same truth. Emotion is not the enemy, it is the guide. The myths have guided us inward. Now we turn outward. How do we make this real? We ground passion like Icarus with wisdom. We embrace the descent like Persephone. We rise like the phoenix. We transmute like the alchemist. We persevere like the hero. Emotional mastery begins when we stop resisting the story and start living the myth. The journey from myth to method mirrors the transition from dreams to dawn, a movement from symbolic insight to lived practice. To take control of your emotions is not just an intellectual exercise. It's about translating profound wisdom into tangible, everyday actions. This bridge between the archetypal and the practical is where transformation truly takes root, weaving ancient stories into the fabric of our daily lives. At its core, emotional mastery begins with mindfulness, the art of being present and observing without judgment. Imagine yourself standing on the shore of a vast ocean, watching waves crash against the sand. Each wave represents an emotion, unique, yet part of an endless rhythm. Instead of resisting or drowning in these waves, you simply notice their patterns, ebb and flow. In this moment of dual awareness, you are both the observer and the observed, creating space for choice rather than reaction. Viktor Frankl famously described this as the pause between stimulus and response, where freedom resides. By cultivating mindfulness Through practices like meditation, deep breathing, or mindful journaling, you train yourself to respond with clarity rather than chaos. Emotions often carry hidden lessons, waiting to be uncovered through reframing, a process of shifting perspective to reveal opportunities within challenges. Consider anger, often dismissed as destructive. Beneath its fiery surface lies a call to action, a demand for justice or change. When reframed, anger becomes a catalyst for assertiveness, empowering you to set boundaries or address imbalances. Similarly, fear signals growth. It arises when you step outside your comfort zone, reminding you that something transformative awaits. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to teach me? By viewing feelings not as enemies, but as guides, you unlock deeper self-awareness and align with your values. Communication plays a pivotal role in integrating emotional mastery into real-world interactions. Vulnerability, often misunderstood as weakness, is actually a profound act of strength. Sharing your feelings authentically fosters connection, dissolving barriers of misunderstanding and mistrust. For instance, instead of lashing out in frustration, try saying, "I feel hurt because I value your opinion, and it seems like my efforts aren't being acknowledged." Such language shifts the focus from blame to understanding, transforming conflict into collaboration. Boundaries are equally essential tools for navigating the seas of emotion. Without them, we risk becoming overwhelmed by external demands and losing sight of our own well-being. Setting boundaries is not about building walls, but about honoring your limits and priorities. Saying no to an invitation when you're feeling depleted is not selfish. It's an act of self-care that allows you to show up fully elsewhere. Boundaries remind us that taking control of our emotions includes protecting our energy and preserving our integrity. Life will inevitably throw storms our way, loss, failure, disappointment. But how we weather them determines our trajectory. Resilience does not mean avoiding pain. It means learning to dance with it and finding meaning even in struggle. One powerful strategy is cultivating gratitude, which shifts your focus from scarcity to abundance. Even in dark times, there are moments of light, kind words, natural beauty, the simple act of breathing. Acknowledging these gifts anchors you in hope, creating a buffer against despair. Adaptability, the ability to pivot when circumstances change, complements resilience, allowing you to navigate obstacles like water flowing around rocks. Rituals and routines provide structure for sustaining emotional mastery over time. Rituals are intentional actions imbued with personal significance. They mark transitions, celebrate milestones, and offer solace during challenging periods. Lighting a candle to honor a loved one, writing in a gratitude journal each morning, or taking a walk at sunset grounds you in the present moment and connects you to something larger than yourself. Routines establish consistency, helping you build habits that support emotional well-being. Whether dedicating 10 minutes a day to meditation, scheduling regular check-ins with a trusted friend, or practicing self-compassion exercises, these small, repeated actions accumulate over time, creating lasting change. Some emotions, envy, shame, spite, feel so uncomfortable that we exile them, pretending they don't exist. Yet, like shadows, they grow longer when ignored. Shadow work involves gently confronting these disowned parts with curiosity rather than judgment. When envy arises, ask, what does this desire tell me about what I value? When shame surfaces, question, whose voice is this really? Is it mine or someone else's? By dialoguing with these emotions instead of suppressing them, we reclaim their energy and integrate their lessons. Building deliberate pauses into the day, moments to check in, breathe, and recalibrate can prevent small stresses from accumulating into overwhelm. After a meeting, take 30 seconds to exhale fully before rushing to the next task. Before entering the home, pause at the door to transition from work self to home self. Set reminders to stop and ask, what am I feeling right now? These micro practices cultivate presence, making emotional awareness an ongoing habit rather than a crisis intervention. As you integrate these practices into your life, remember that emotional mastery is not about perfection. There will be days when old patterns resurface, when emotions feel overwhelming, or when progress seems elusive, and that is okay. The path to mastery is cyclical, much like the seasons or the phases of the moon. Each setback is an opportunity to deepen your understanding, refine your approach, and reaffirm your commitment to growth. What matters most is not where you start, but whether you continue moving forward, however falteringly, toward greater harmony and wholeness. We began this exploration at the edge of an ocean, watching the waves of emotion rise and fall with their ancient rhythm. Along the way, we traced constellations of meaning, delved into the depths of myth, and returned to the shores of practical reality. What emerges from this odyssey is not merely a set of tools or strategies, but a profound reimagining of what it means to take control of your emotions. It is an invitation to see yourself not as a passive recipient of life's tides, but as an active participant in shaping their course. You are both the navigator and the vessel, the artist and the canvas, the dreamer and the dream itself. At its essence, emotional mastery is about alignment, aligning your inner world with the rhythms of the universe, aligning your thoughts and actions with your deepest values, and aligning your sense of self with the infinite possibilities of existence. Yet this alignment is not static. It is dynamic, ever-shifting, like the interplay of sun and shadow on a summer afternoon. To master your emotions is to learn how to hold these contradictions with grace, to find beauty in the tension between opposites. Recall the wisdom of the alchemists, who sought not just to transform lead into gold, but to uncover the hidden potential within all things. In the same way, your raw emotions, the grief, the rage, the longing, are not burdens to be discarded, but gifts waiting to be understood. Every tear carries the potential for healing. Every spark of anger holds the seed of transformation, and every moment of joy contributes to the symphony of being. This is the final paradox. To take control, you must first let go, not of the emotion itself, but of the struggle against it. A bird held too tightly cannot fly, yet cupped gently in open palms it may choose to stay. Your emotions are the same. They demand neither suppression nor indulgence, but compassionate awareness. Knowledge untested by life is merely speculation. What now remains is to live what you've explored, to step beyond the page and into the messy, magnificent practice of being human. When emotion surges, pause, ask, what is this here to teach me? For example, if frustration arises during a meeting, step outside for a moment, take 3 deep breaths, and ask yourself what this emotion might reveal about your needs or values. When old patterns beckon, choose curiosity over judgment. Ask, what if this feeling is not my enemy, but my guide? When joy comes, drink it fully. Do not dilute it with fear of its passing. Remember, you don't have to navigate these waters alone. Trusted companions, whether friends, loved ones, or mentors, can help illuminate blind spots and remind you of your strength when the storms rage loudest. This journey does not end here. Emotional mastery is not a destination, but a continual unfolding, a spiral of growth that invites you to return again and again to the questions at its core. Who am I? What do I value? How do I wish to show up in the world? These inquiries are not meant to be answered once and for all, but to guide you forward, like a compass pointing toward true north. Each time you engage with them, you uncover new layers of insight, deepening your understanding of yourself and your place within the greater whole. Imagine yourself a year from now, standing once more at that metaphorical shore. The waves still rise and fall. This will never change. But now you recognize their rhythm. You know when to swim with the current and when to rest on the sand. You understand that storms are not eternal, that calm is not a permanent state, and that you are neither the wave nor the wreckage, but the one who learns again and again how to navigate. In the grand tapestry of existence, your story matters. Your emotions matter. They are the colors, the textures, the shapes that make your life uniquely yours. By taking control of them, by learning to navigate their ebbs and flows with intention and compassion, you become not only the author of your own destiny, but also a contributor to the collective evolution of humanity. So rise, dear traveler, and claim your place in the cosmic dance. The music has begun, and it awaits your voice. Take one small step today. Breathe deeply and notice the sensations in your body. Speak your truth with kindness and conviction. Set a boundary that honors your needs. Practice gratitude for the gifts you often overlook. Trust that even in moments of uncertainty, you are exactly where you need to be. And remember, you are not alone on this journey. The same currents that carry your emotions connect you to every other living being, reminding you that your transformation ripples outward, touching lives in ways you may never fully comprehend. With this, our journey reaches its culmination. May these words serve as a lantern, illuminating your path as you continue to explore the boundless seas of emotion. Farewell for now, and may your voyage be filled with wonder, wisdom, and grace.